Hey there, perfectionists. My name's Delampo, but you already knew that because you're so darn perfect. If you could make a video game about anything, and I mean anything, what would it be about? Would it star a gallant hero traveling back in time to stop the assassination of his parents? What about a tale about a young girl who must free her country from an evil empire? I'll do you one better. What about a game about debt? A game in which an evil raccoon gives you a house against your will and you have to sell fossils and fish to pay it off.
That sounds like a horrible...
Animal Crossing! One of the most successful Nintendo franchises in recent history, Animal Crossing is made for those of us with an itch to explore, establish relationships, and dump an unrealistic amount of time into yard maintenance. Especially that last one. So, without further ado, get ready for Hero Unlocked. Ever heard of Dobotsu no Mori? Well, this is the Japanese title of the original Animal Crossing on the Nintendo 64. Well, technically it translates to Animal Forest, but this is in a Japanese class, so yeah. Didn't know there was an Animal Crossing on the N64? That's okay. I'll take pity on you. So yes, this title hit the cartridge console in April of 2001, like I mentioned before, in Japan. Well, then the game was released on the Nintendo GameCube in December of the same year, this time with some improvements. One such improvement is that in the GameCube version, the player no longer had to set the clock manually. This is because the N64 did not have an internal clock. This as well as changes to cosmetics in the games made for this new version. And finally, in September of 2002, North America got its own version in Animal Crossing. Or is it Animal Crossing Population Growing? Can anybody tell me what that is? Like, I would understand if the sign was on the ground or something, you know, that gives it some air of separation, but it's clearly attached to the title. How is that not a subtitle? Whatever, it turns out that the process of translating this game was a whole so much so that the Japanese headquarters saw the work that was being done and re-released the North American version of Animal Crossing as Dobotsu no Mori E+ in Japan in 2003. This was because the translators had taken the time to add a good amount of new items and holidays to that version. That means that by 2003, Japan had 3 Animal Crossing games. Oh, and Europe got theirs in September of 2004. Gameplay-wise, this franchise has been about the same since the first iteration. In Animal Crossing, you take control of the villager. This character's appearance is based on a little survey at the beginning of the game with Rover. The player then arrives at a new town and must make their way. This includes doing things like fishing tournaments and collecting fossils. All of this is paramount to increasing the size of the villager's house. If you are a good little neighbor, your town will expand, allowing for more and more animals to live there. In Animal Crossing, you could collect numerous NES titles to play within the game as well. Games like Punch-Out!, Donkey Kong, and Baseball all made appearances. There were also a few titles that were exclusive to e-reader cards, if you remember those. These were Ice Climber and Mario Bros. Then there's the multiplayer. While not a traditional multiplayer game, players could still interact with each other in a way. You see, no more than one person can play the game at a time, but you can have up to 4 houses in a town. You can talk to other players through a mail system or by using the town board. Either way makes for a pretty mediocre time.
Hey, watch it.
You're not my dad! So, Animal Crossing's next foray was on the Nintendo DS. Released in the winter of 2005 in Japan and North America, Animal Crossing Wild World brought the franchise into portable bliss. Frankly, I think there should have been one on the GBA, but this is nice too. Wait. Look at that logo. So the first one is Population Growing. I mean, it has to be. The subtitle is attached the same way. Anyway, this title took a more streamlined approach to doing things during development. You know how in different places in the world there are like different holidays? Well, in Wild World, they did away with that. Which, I mean, makes sense? The game even came out at around the same time, barring Europe. It also made its way onto the Wii U Virtual Console, for some reason. Because this game was produced on the Nintendo DS, it allowed for a different point of view. Players on the bottom of the screen could see things occurring in the sky while they were picking weeds below. What's more, the game featured the ability to play online. While you can't go to rando towns, you could exchange your Nintendo social security number and play in your friends' villages. Unlike the previous titles, you can now play together.
So I guess we should talk about the bad Animal Crossing game.
What the hell are you talking about? They're all bad Animal Crossing games.
Why would you do a video on a franchise you don't like?
Because I'm not allowed to light fires for attention anymore, Joe.
What the
Animal Crossing City Folk was the first title that actually grabbed my attention, but as quickly as you could say motion controls, my attention faded. There were a series of innovations within this title though. Apart from being the first game in the franchise launched in North America before Japan, it was also one of the first titles to incorporate We Speak. This was a device for the Wii that allowed for voice chat to be used on the console. This title sported a slightly new level of customization in Pro design. These designs allowed for different images to be in different places on clothing. Tom Nook, the series-long antagonist, now allows for a payment plan on your home, which feels eerily realistic, and I don't like it, but whatever. Outside the village, there is a city in which players can undergo various activities after a short bus ride. Yay, public transportation.
Did you say yay? You mean gross. If they really wanted to make things realistic, they should have forced a mid-sized sedan on you and forced you to make payments on that as well.
I can see that. The developers also included into this title a very interesting feature in the auction house. This was a place in the city in which players could list items they obtained for sale and other players could purchase them there. Now, if this doesn't make you think that an Animal Crossing MMO could exist, I don't know what would. I simply adore the idea of this, but enough pipe dreams. Let's move on. Now, when we joked before about how this was the bad one, I want to stress that this isn't actually a bad game per se, at least from what I read. The most common complaint across the board was simply that the game was too similar to the last games. And as we all know, when you risk nothing, you gain nothing. I'm looking at you, Star Fox. Who the hell wrote this? What a low blow. That was some cheap shit. Animal Crossing New Leaf. The next title in this thrilling saga was released in November of 2012 and June of 2013 in Japan and North America respectively. There's some remarkable things about this title, but none more remarkable than the fact that this is the first one with the Animal Crossing moniker that doesn't have the subtitle hanging below the name. It matters! Oh, and I guess it's important to mention that you're the mayor now. Gameplay-wise, this is much more impactful than previous entries. It means that you get to collect taxes and pass laws. Though the way the game works, you would think that you were more of a head of a mafia than a mayor. There's no election, there's no checks and balances, just you implementing your will amongst the townfolk. What's more, the dev team really went above and beyond with the research for this title. One such bit of extra work was based around how the holidays, like New Year's, were celebrated. In the Japanese version, players would eat New Year's noodles. In North America, you would drink sparkling cider. In Spanish and European versions, you eat grapes. Look it up, it's a thing. Review-wise, this one fared much better than the last. This probably has to do with the effort that I mentioned before. Animal Crossing New Horizons is, right on the horizon. Seriously. Who wrote this? This one looks like it'll offer crafting and the ability to choose skin color, so cool, kudos. Yeah, maybe if there was lore, I guess we'll have to give it a classic Hero Unlock rundown. Here we go. 2001, Why the Chicken Crossed the Road? For the affordable long-term housing on the other side. 2002, same old shit, just a different console. 2005, the villager finds where the wild things are. OMG, it's Detroit, Michigan. 2006, gentrification. 2012, the law? I am the law. 2015, I think I saw this one on HDTV. This is the one with the twins, right? I love those guys. Also 2015, a case study on how to design a cash grab that does not grab cash. 2017, install, play for 10 minutes, uninstall. Ah, the circle of life. And 2020. Wilson! Always a good time. Now, before we move on, I should mention that in 2006 there was a Japan-only Animal Crossing film. It only runs for about 90 minutes, but I mean, it is pertinent to mention that it exists. The film is about a child named Ai, and yeah, she moves to a village just like in the game. She works for Tom Nook, makes friends, and unlocks an alien conspiracy. I'm not joking. Check it out. I mean, as long as you know Japanese. So, who are the villagers? I think it's pretty safe to say that these characters are pretty iconic at this point. Nintendo doesn't put out new and recurring characters very often, so when they do, it really means something. I mean, I'll be pretty surprised if Sushi Strikers 3 ever exists. That said, these adorable guys are here to stay, but I think their existence is more symbolic than anything else. There aren't a ton of popular simulation titles in the same vein as these games. This is the type of franchise that works so unbelievably well as a supplementary means of entertainment as well as primary. There are people like me who will pick up and play these titles for a little bit and set them back down. This is the only way I can tolerate the fact that I'm scavenging for insects to pay my bills. These titles are always quite the wonder. I feel as though this franchise would be ripe with possibilities for expensive expansion packs and other DLC, you know, like those other simulation games, but it isn't. At the end of the day, these titles are a charming reminder of what it means to game for fun, completely stress-free, no lobbies, no team flaming me for dying a million times, no escort missions where the AI is brain dead, just a villager, a house, and interest-free debt. Keep pulling those weeds, and stay perfect.
Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a blast. Make sure to hit that like button and let us know which Animal Crossing is your favorite. And remember not to hit that reset button. I see what you did there, Delapo. I see what the words and the playing on the. It's Rossetti, okay? I get it.